we get on there. She closes the door. The scooter goes up, and then it gets jammed. So here I am on this lift with the cast member and myself, and the scooter is wedged in, and all the lights go out.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the DCL Duo podcast brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. We're going to have another Girls' Day today, another female-only episode because I am solo hosting. As you can, of course, tell, it's my voice, not Brian's voice, doing the show intro. And I have a wonderful guest. I'm very excited. I know she's been listening to the show for a while now. She reached out. We had a lot of back and forth about scheduling to try and find a time to record together, but I'm super excited to welcome to the show, Judy. Welcome.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so excited to be here. This is great.
Oh, you're so sweet, Judy.
I just love your podcast. I really do.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. Now, I know you like to go by Disney Judy. Now, I got to ask you, I'm going to ask you, this is a rapid fire question normally, but is Judy Hopps also your favorite character now?
No, not really.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
Actually, people, for some reason, they call me Auntie Judy.
Auntie Judy. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that came around, but it did. So,
all right. Everyone's favorite aunt who loves Disney. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Now, Judy, I got to start with where your love of Disney came from. You know, I know we're going to talk about a 7-night Disney cruise on the Disney Treasure today. It was a Western Caribbean itinerary, which has a couple port stops, or 4 port stops, but I know one of them didn't actually happen, but we'll talk about that. But before we dive into talking about your cruise, I want to talk about your Disney background. Like, when did you start falling in love with all things Disney? And then, of course, when did you start cruising with Disney Cruise Line?
Well, I can go way back because when I was growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, I used to watch the Mickey Mouse Club, the original. And I thought,
Annette, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then they built Disneyland, and I knew that I would never, ever get out there because it's a long way from Cleveland. But when I was getting married, when we were planning our wedding and our honeymoon, my husband, who was in the service, said, you know, they're building a park in Florida. Check it out. So I did. And so we got married in 1972, and we went to Disney World the first summer it was open.
Oh, my goodness.
And all it was, we stayed at the Polynesian. The only other hotel was the Contemporary and the Monorail. And they had the e-ticket books. And so they had a package deal, and we paid $90 a person for a week staying at Disney World with e-ticket books for every day for all the different attractions. They included a luau, and they gave us spending money to buy some merchandise.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
That's amazing, Judy. You go all the way back.
We go all the way back. It was, I still could remember that first time. I still remember the first time I ever saw Haunted Mansion, and it was like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? This is so amazing.
Yeah, well, because it's nothing like any other amusement. I mean, of its time, it was revolutionary.
It
right?
It was.
Other amusement parks would just do sort of the same rides, right? Like everyone had like a wooden coaster, and they might have like a pony ride or
exactly.
carousel. But like Disney did, everything was, the first of its kind, Imagineering, right? Like things that just didn't exist before then, with a couple of exceptions.
Right.
Obviously, having a train or having like a skyway, right? Those things did exist. And having a carousel, but they had a Disney themed carousel.
It was amazing. And then when we had our children, I have 2 boys, who are actually 2 men right now, but and then we started taking them when they were young, and we've just always gone since then.
I love that. All right, Judy, I want to ask, when did you start cruising with Disney Cruise Line?
Well, not soon enough. I have a good friend, Sandy Collins. I told her I was going to mention her name.
Shout out to Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
And Sandy and her husband, Pat, have cruised for years. And she called me several years ago, and she said, oh, you got to go on a Disney cruise with us. And she talked me into it. And I wish she had talked me into it earlier. And our first cruise was on the Disney Fantasy. We did a Pixar cruise, and it was an 8 days, 7-night cruise. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
Absolutely.
cruising. Yeah.
Now, had you done any other cruise line
No.
before? Okay. And have you done any other cruise line since you started sailing with Disney?
No, but we are going on Norwegian in May.
Oh, okay. Are you going to Alaska by any chance?
No, actually, we're going sailing out of New York. I live in Connecticut now. So we're sailing out of New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to Bermuda for 3 days in Bermuda. We're going to dock in Bermuda for 3 days.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. Nice. Okay.
So that'll be fun.
Well, and right now, Disney is not sailing out of New York City. They have in the past, but it's been a couple of years since they've had any sailings in any of the Northeast, because they've also previously done, some New England sailings that go all the way up to Canada. But yeah, unfortunately, we haven't seen, and I'm still crossing my fingers and toes that once we have the next Wish class ship, that maybe we'll see some of those Northeast sailings again. I would love to do one of the ones that, hits Maine and New Hampshire, maybe goes up all the way up to Newfoundland. That would be amazing. But
that would be great. I'd love to do that because it's easier for us, because for us to get to Florida to sail, that's quite a trip. Just as you have quite a trip coming from the West Coast.
Yes, we have quite a trip from the West Coast, but at least if they're sailing like out of New York, I can see my family in New York, and because all my family, well, my sister lives down in the Maryland area, but everybody else is pretty much in New York, and so, or Connecticut actually, and so I would be happy to sail out of the Northeast. That would be really fun.
When you come to Connecticut to see your family, you can touch base up here.
Yeah. We don't go quite as far north as you are. We're not only about halfway in between Long Island and New Haven is where my family lives in Connecticut. So, but yeah. Well, anyway, Judy, I got to ask, how many Disney cruises have you been on?
We've done 3.
Awesome.
We have a 4th one booked.
Nice.
Of course.
Fantastic. So Fantasy, what was your second cruise?
Dream.
Okay. And then now
the Treasure. And we have the Destiny booked.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Judy, I know you are a scooter user, so we're definitely going to cover some of the accessibility stuff on the ships, because I always think that's of interest to people. Anyone who uses any kind of mobility device, whether that be, crutches, a walker, wheelchair, scooter, or anything else I haven't, thought of. I think it's really helpful for people to know how things are in terms of, gangways and walkways and, getting in and out of dining rooms, getting to see shows, for example, all of that good stuff. So we'll definitely hit those along the way as we chat. All right. Well, let's start with getting down, of course, to Florida. You had kind of a big group with you for this sailing, if I'm remembering correctly.
We did. There were 6 of us. There were Sandy and Pat, and then some friends of theirs, Sue and Mike Mott, went with us. So there were 6 of us, and it was really great. It was a great cruise.
Awesome. All right. Well, we got to talk about the pre-booking stuff. You're Silver Castaway Club status. You were sailing on the Treasure for the very first time, and it's the longest cruise you were sailing on, right?
No, the Pixar cruise was the same length.
Oh, was also 7 nights. That's right. Yeah. I forget. Yeah, because that was back before the Treasure took over. Before the Treasure took over the 7-night sailings. Yeah. Well, did you try to pre-book anything in advance? Any, adult dining or drink tastings or anything like that ahead of time, or even excursions, I guess, as well?
Yes, we tried to book Palo brunch, and we could not get it, but we had no problem getting it. Once we got on board, we went right to the location, which I don't remember. I think it was one of the lounges, and we were able to book it. So that was no problem. We did book a catamaran snorkeling adventure for the days at Grand Cayman. Unfortunately, it was canceled because we didn't dock. We didn't go on board at all.
Now, for the Palo brunch, I'm guessing it was Triton's Lounge that the meetup place was to chat with the dining folks, or was
I
it
believe it
someplace
was
different?
Triton's. No, I think
Yeah.
it was Triton's. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the Wish class, usually, and this, of course, check your app when you are either getting on board when you're at the port, or once you've gotten on board, you're connected, of course, to the Wi-Fi. You can check in the schedule in the Disney Navigator app, and it'll tell you where to go if you have any dining requests or dining changes to be made, and they'll have in the same location, usually for both main dining and for specialty dining. And there'll usually be two separate sort of tables, one for specialty dining, one for main dining. So that's if you want to switch your dining rotation, you want to change from late dining to early dining or early dining to late dining. You want to adjust a Palo booking, a Remy booking, an Enchante booking that, or make one. Yeah. And so those are usually, I have found most success of if you can't get it in the app ahead of time, if as long as you go immediately upon boarding, with one exception, which is there are some cruises like maiden voyages that are almost impossible to get those things because you've got tons of people you've got a full sailing, tons of people in concierge, tons of adults on board, and just sort of oversubscribes those adults only activities. So Palo brunch, did you not go for Enchante or Palo dinner?
No, we didn't. We just did Palo brunch on the when we went on the Dream. We did several of the different tastings, so we really didn't repeat those this time. But I will say, as a scooter user, going into Triton Lounge, don't.
Yes, don't. That is Triton Lounge on the Wish class is a really small space.
Very tight.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it's actually where they do quite a bit of the adult trivia games. And then sometimes they'll even do karaoke in there. They'll either do it in there or in Sarabi, depending upon what else is going on. And unfortunately, that space, even for non-scooter users, that's tight getting in and out of there, especially when it gets really packed with people.
But I had no trouble when we went into Triton for some trivia. I was able to just find a spot outside in the hall and park the scooter and leave it and walk in. So at least I have the ability that I can walk in. If somebody can't get out of the scooter, the chairs do move. So, people could move the chairs so that you could actually get in. So, that would help for people to know. Sarabi, I would leave it out in the hall also.
There's definitely some spaces on board that while they are, let's call them semi-accessible, right? Like, meaning you can get to them just fine. And if you're able to get out of a mobility device and walk or use crutches to get in or something like that, yes, they're doable. They're a little bit more difficult if you don't have that opportunity, right? And Sarabi, I think you can pull in a scooter, but only on that bottom
first floor, right?
Yeah, only on the first, so deck 4, not deck 5. Yeah, you will not be able to get to any of the seating on deck 5 because there are steps.
Now in the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yeah,
Funny story.
You're going to a lot of spaces that are small.
I did go in with my scooter on the Haunted Mansion, and that's really tight. But it was early, so there were not a lot of people. But then it kind of filled up. I couldn't turn the scooter around, so there was a little secret door that they opened and let me out, and I was suddenly back in the hall. So,
oh, wonderful. Okay, so there are some, that's really helpful. I wonder if there is like that staff door in one of the corners. But
that's where it was. I think it came out right by Scat Cat.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Yeah, that's super helpful.
So next time I went in, I left the scooter out in the hall. I learned.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer though that there's so many tight spaces on these Wish class ships that, there's. I think more so than on the other ships. The other ships, they have less split up spaces, right? And so bigger spaces, but less of them, right? And whereas the Wish class has more individual spaces, but a lot of them are kind of, we'll call them cozy. Well, Judy, let's rewind a little bit. You're flying down to Florida, obviously, for the cruise because you're up in New Haven. When did you get in? When did you get into Florida? And I'm assuming to Orlando.
Actually, we drive. So
you are crazy.
We are crazy. Yeah. So actually, we drove straight to Port Canaveral. We stayed in Titusville the night before, so that we boarded the ship that Saturday morning. And I think we were on board around noon. We had a pretty early port arrival, got right on. We wanted to go up to Coco because that's where you could have the sit down meal after we did our dining, and it was at capacity.
Oh,
So
wow. So you'd have to wait in order wait for people to
yes.
leave before they can.
So
bring
we
you
went up
in.
to Marceline Market then instead and had a nice lunch. And it wasn't bad. People say, "Oh, it's so crowded." We never found it that crowded.
Oh,
We
good.
never had a
Yeah.
problem.
That's great. That's great to hear. I think it can your mileage can vary on that. And then of course if you're going up to Marceline Market, you might end up eating at Mickey's Festival of Foods anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You've got all the deck food options available if right there. So you might I find I rarely make it into Marceline Market on the Wish class ships because I end up at Donald's Cantina or making smokestack barbecue or Goofy's Grill, and I end up not even, like, walk I feel like I go into Marceline Market, like, a couple times on the sailing maybe to get some breakfast foods, and other than that, I always find myself at the Festival of Foods on the pool deck, yeah. So good, so good. Well, let's dive into some of your embarkation day stuff that you got up to. Now, of course, you hadn't been on the Treasure before. I got to ask. You enter into the beautiful Grand Hall of the Disney Treasure. What did you think of the
It's
Treasure's atrium?
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was surprised to see the stage because on the Fantasy and the Dream, there's no stage. So that surprised me. But the Grand Hall is it's so beautiful. And I'm so excited going on board too.
Oh, I love that. Well, and the theming is like all immediate, whereas you get like very nautical vibes when you get on the Dream and the Fantasy, and they're beautiful atriums. But the Grand Hall, like immediately, you're immersed in sort of the Aladdin atmosphere on the Treasure. That's a big difference between those classes.
And we did the tour where they took us around the ship and they explained all of the theming and how the water is going down the stairs and pooling. It was just fascinating to hear all of the Imagineers, how well thought out everything is and how beautiful everything is.
Absolutely. I think that the Imagineering, the Wish, or Imagineering the Treasure, or Imagineering the Destiny, that's what they call it's the counter to the Art of the Theme Ship tour on the original 4 ships. I think it's just fascinating because you get to hear all of that detail about why maybe something was selected, and sort of they even point out things about the flow of the ship, like this, the aft of the ship is in this tone of color, and then the forward of the ship is in this tone of color. Right? It's really interesting stuff that you
And I
wouldn't necessarily know.
always was getting mixed up. Am I going forward or am I going aft?
I know. It's funny on the Destiny, you know it by whether you're looking at heroes or villains, right? So if you
Okay.
yeah, so both the carpet and the artwork on the walls, on in the passenger or the where the rooms are, right? Those hallways, you'll always know based
Tell
on
me where I am.
yeah, exactly. The elevator bank or either forward or the aft, you'll know because you'll either see like Maleficent as a dragon on the floor, or you'll see like Sorcerer Mickey, on the floor. And so you know where you're at based on that. It's really, really
Funny
cool.
story about the elevator bags. We were midship, but we were a little closer to aft. And if I got off the aft elevators, I had to take a left, and our cabin was maybe 10 doors down. But our friend's cabin was way forward. And if I got off the forward elevators, I had to take a right and go all the way down the hall, right? And one night we got off. I'm thinking I'm forward, but I'm really aft. I got off and I turned right. So our friend stood there and said, "And how long will it take her before she knows she's going the wrong direction?"
Maybe when she gets to the end of the ship.
Just about. Then I had to turn the scooter around in that narrow
in
little
the
hallway.
Oh my God, Judy, that's great. Well, that brings us to like a great topic, which is the hallways, right? And like the hallways on the Wish class, from what I can tell myself, and then from talking to our friends Vanessa and Andrew, and Andrew's a wheelchair user, they have said that the hallways on the Wish class are narrower, and so when you've got those carts out, really for the room stewards, right? They have their carts out, that it can be a little bit hard to navigate. I'm curious how you found it with the scooter.
They were narrow, but I had no problem. They tend to leave the carts in the corner so that there was a little more room. So I really and truly didn't have a lot of problem. I could get by them. And the room stewards were great. If it looked really tight, they were really good about, trying to keep it over to the side.
Yeah, I notice them doing that all the time. Even if you're just walking, if I'm walking through the hallway and their cart happens to be sticking out, I feel like they're constantly like adjusting to make sure that people can get through. Because you've got people with, you got people in wheelchairs, you got people in scooters, but you also have parents pushing strollers, right, or pulling carts, right? Like there's a lot going on in those hallways. The one thing that Vanessa and Andrew pointed out to me is about people leaving their food trays out in the hallway, that can actually be more of an issue than the carts. So if you're listening to this, don't put your food tray out in the hallway on a cruise ship. It's not like at a hotel where you got these wide hallways. You could just call room service. They'll send somebody to come pick it up, or you just leave it in your room and your room steward will take care of it as well. So just a pro tip out there, you do not need to put your trays or plates out in the hallway. Let them take care of it later. Yeah.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
Let's dive into some other stuff you guys got to do on the ship. I saw some notes you sent me ahead of time. You saw quite a few movies, Judy.
We did, and I
I kind of love that because some people are like forget, there are these movies at sea and they're all included, right? You don't have paying like
all
a
included.
Price.
Well, I really wanted to see the Zootopia 2. Which
Yes.
I knew was going to be on, and it seemed like every time they had every time they were going to show it, we had something else we were doing. And I saw one day it was at 8:00 in the morning, and I thought, who would go to a movie at 8:00 in the morning? I did.
I would say when Nathan was little, we would be up at like 6, 7 in the morning. It didn't matter what day of the week it was. And so that would have been perfect. Like if there was an 8:00 in the morning movie with your young child, right? Like now he could sleep until noon. He's a teenager now. Yeah. But when he was little, boy, yeah, 8:00 movie would have maybe kept him occupied and given me a little bit of peace. Yeah.
Now that's the one place that I found it difficult with a scooter, because I could take the scooter, I could get into the theater. Now my husband did not want to see Zootopia 2. I think he was still sleeping at 8:00. So there to open the door, I was by myself, so I found it challenging to get the door open. I got in and there was room to put your scooter in the theater. It was not a problem. But then at one point I had to leave, and getting out of the theater and coming back in, the door, that is not handicap. I don't want to say accessible. It's not easy for someone in a scooter.
Yeah. It's some of the doors on ships in general
are very heavy.
Very heavy. Exactly. I find them to be heavy myself. So if I'm carrying, let's say I'm carrying a drink or plate or something like that, right? Or a couple of drinks, I find it hard, even like stateroom doors, but some of the other doors as well, including the theater doors. Yeah, those are quite heavy. And so without somebody to assist you, not the friendliest for any kind of mobility assisted person. Yeah.
there was another family in the theater, so he was the dad was very helpful to hold the door for me. But then when I was coming back in, then I had to grab the store, hold it, try to hold it, bring the scooter in, but it worked.
Yeah. I'd love to ask about dining. So that's the one area I'm always curious about. I find the Wish class, and this is the case for all the Wish class ships, but I find the dining rooms are quite tight. Meaning there's not a lot of room in between the various tables, especially 1923 is quite tight. Yeah, I'm curious how you fared in getting to, did you notice whether or not they had selected a table that might have been easier for you to get to, or was it just kind of you just got whatever random table you got?
I think that we were at tables that were easy to get to because we could stay in the main aisle, and our tables in all three restaurants were fairly easy to get to. I would drive the scooter in, and then they would take it. The cast members would take it right out, and they'd park it. The only complaint that we had about the table, we were at table 614. We were right by the service area where they prep the food in every single restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, I wonder
was
if
okay.
that was, yeah, I wonder
That
if
could have been.
Yeah, I wonder if they choose that table because it has the better aisle access, but that also means, you're near the serving stations, which is a little bit noisy and not the best location, but it is what it is. Now, I've got to ask, you mentioned your server got to drive the scooter. Did they have any issues driving the scooter?
No, they loved it. They love it.
They're like, I get to drive around on this little thing for a minute.
I'd say go have fun with it. And I don't know where they would take it, but when we were ready to leave, they would go get it and bring it right up to the table. So it was really easy and very convenient, no problem to get in and out of the dining.
Good. I like to hear that. Now, I will say, I think that they park them right, where you kind of check in and give them your table number at the front. I think they park them in that area because I've seen when I've shown up late for dinner, that's where I've seen like scooters being parked. Well, I've got to ask about deck parties because, of course, you have the sail away party. You also have your pirate night. You actually have two pirate night parties. You got the Mickey one and then the pirate parlay party later that has the fireworks. Now, did you attend the deck parties? And if so, where did you get to go with your scooter?
We went to the sail away party, and on deck 11, they have a special area, let's see, on the starboard side, I think. And a special area for scooters, handicap accessibility. And it's roped off. So when you come up, they let you in. You can bring one family member with you. I would think that maybe if you had small children, they might let the whole family go. But, our friends did not go. They went, I think they stood up on deck 12 and looked down. But we stayed on 11. Interesting thing, there was a deaf family on board. And Disney provided two American Sign Language, yes. And I did talk to the gal one time, and it's fascinating. And because I watched her during one of those shows, and they get the script ahead of time.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I love when there are, this is going to sound funny. I love when there's a deaf family on board my sailings because I love watching the sign language interpreter while the show is going on because they are incredible. And depending upon the person, but these are folks that work with Disney very consistently and they will often emote like the actors are emoting and they'll bounce around when the dancing is happening. They are just so animated and it's incredible to watch.
And she was singing as the characters were singing and there were two of them. So, if we saw Moana, so if two people are singing, both of them were signing and they were both singing the part that they were signing. And I said, you must have had all this. And she said, yes, we had all the script before. So they knew what was going on. They were amazing.
It's really wonderful to watch. It adds like another layer or dynamic to the performance. And it's usually going to be in the main dining coordinating. So like if you, I mean, it can be late dining as well, but I have found more of the time than not, if you are in main dining and going to the later show, that's where that will be the ASL performance as opposed to the other way around. It does occasionally happen because it's not going to, the American Sign Language interpreters are not going to be at both performances, both the early evening and the late evening performances, because they need to have a break also. Plus, the family that they're with may need interpretation around the ship. So they're going to actually be with those, that's why there's two of them, because they got to trade off so each of them can take a break, because it's, I'm sure, exhausting.
It said in the Navigator app which show was ASL.
Yeah.
So you would know.
Yeah, it's really,
for the
fantastic.
sail away party, she was dancing right along with the characters and right up front, because we were right behind them, and she was right dancing with the characters and signing what they were doing. It was really great to watch.
I love that. I love it. It's funny, when we talk about accessibility, a lot of the time we talk about physical accessibility on the ships because we think of the layout of the ship. There's all kinds of ways that, the ship may need to be made accessible for different people and for different disabilities. And so I love that this came up in our conversation, Judy, because I feel like it happens on, regularly on sailings where you've got, at least one or two deaf people on that have ASL interpretation happening. So
we've seen them on 2 cruises now. We've seen the ALS interpreters.
Now, did you also go, you also went to the Mickey and Minnie Pirates of the Caribbean party, if I'm remembering correctly? Or did you go to the parlay one?
Not this cruise.
Okay, not this cruise. Okay, you skipped it.
We skipped it both.
Well, I got to tell you, I got to tell you, Judy, it's okay. I often skip big chunks of pirate night myself because I like to go. It's my night to go to adult dining. Typically, Brian and I often go to which is always a longer meal, and so we often skip. We often miss out on the pirate deck party, both deck parties. For those listening or watching, and if you haven't experienced a pirate party on Disney Cruise Line, very often there will be on the Wish class, there will be sort of 2 different pirate parties. One will be in between the dinner seatings at 7:30 p.m. And that one is always a Mickey and Minnie themed one. There's nothing scary. There's no mean pirates. It's very, very kid friendly with the dance party as always, because everything is a dance party. And then the later one that's usually around 10 p.m. is the one where it will either be a Jack Sparrow party or Jack Sparrow storyline or a different pirate storyline that usually involves Jack Sparrow as well, and it might involve some 80s hairband music. It depends which ship that you are on, but then it ends in fireworks at sea typically, and of course weather permitting and location permitting, but super fun. But it often ends up conflicting with whatever adult dining that Brian and I book. Other things you want, like you said, there's so many things you might want to do, a million things. You can't do everything on board. Now, I know that you did a couple of the game shows on board, including the one that is kind of like Hollywood Squares.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I forget what it's like, villain something or other, right?
Right.
Themed.
And that was in Sarabi.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was fun, very much like Hollywood Squares. And then we did one that was kind of like match game, where she asked, we had little teams, and she would say, come up with one word that you would use to describe a buffet. And then you'd write your answer down, and what person would take it up and give it to her. The answers, the way she presented it to everybody was hysterical. It was the most fun that we had with her. And the show itself, the concept was really kind of lame, we thought. But the way she presented it made it so much fun. The gal was amazing.
Is that one called Majority Rules? That might be.
Majority Rules.
Yeah, and that one's usually an adult only, and in Sarabi, 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., something like that. Yeah, if if you have a good host, right? Like, so the cruise staff, it's the entertainment staff, not the folks who are doing the theater shows, but the other staff that run all the activities. Those folks are running both the daytime activities and the evening activities and the adult only evening activities. And if you have a good host, they can make even a game that seems kind of silly be really,
Exactly. I
really
mean,
fun.
think about it. You're writing down, now she's just going to read, well, this group said this, and this group said, food, and this group said wine, and this group said milk. Well, but the way she did it was hysterical. We had so much fun with that.
Yeah, we get that's one of the things about Disney is the folks they choose for their entertainment cast are
Really talented.
yeah, really, really
Really.
talented. Exactly. And they have to dance and stuff too, because
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
performing in all those deck shows as well, in
Oh,
addition
I
to
know.
running different activities. Let's talk a little bit about the other spaces on board. We talked a little bit about Haunted Mansion being, kind of tight to get into, and of course Triton Lounge being tight to get into. I'm curious what you thought of Skipper Society and Scat Cat Lounge, and of course you also have the Periscope Pub on board. Did you get to experience those spaces?
We Skipper Society were there many times, and again, I had to park the scooter outside in the hall because it's very tight. There's so many chairs and little tables that you really can't bring the scooter in. Periscope was the same way. It's really tight. So for almost all of those lounges, I really needed to leave the scooter out in the hall. The one place, and we didn't talk too much about, but maybe we'll get to, the theater, the main theater.
Yes. Let's talk about that now.
That
Judy.
is so much better than on the Dream and the Fantasy.
Oh, okay. Tell me what it's like on the Dream and the Fantasy.
Well, funny story. So to get to the Dream and the Fantasy, to get seated down front, it's all stairs. So when you're on a scooter or a wheelchair, you go down to deck 1. You go through the crew quarters. You go past the dispensary, through the crew quarters, through doors that are sea doors, and she has to call onto the bridge to be allowed to open these doors. I don't think I'd ever want to stay down there. Uh, and they put you on this little lift. I don't use the word elevator. It's a lift because you can see the walls moving.
right.
It's just
It's
a
not
platform.
completely enclosed.
No.
It is literally a platform
Right.
that
So
lifts you up. Yeah.
I put the scooter in, get a cast member, and we go up and we come out right at the stage level on the Fantasy or the Dream, and then you park your scooter right up front. One time I get on there, and my husband wanted to go because he thought this was really cool, but it was really hard with the scooter and two adults. But anyways, we get on there. She closes the door, the scooter goes up, and then it gets jammed. So here I am on this lift with the cast member and myself, and the scooter is wedged in, and all the lights go out. Yeah, it's interesting.
That would be terrifying.
It was.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So
okay. Well, you got out because you're here.
We got
today.
out, right? We got out. But on the Wish class, you go down to deck 2 where the concierge people go into the theater. So the concierge lines up on one side and accessibility lines on the other side of the hall. And before they open the doors to the general public, they let all the concierge people go in. Then they let the scooter people go in, and you come in and you're right at the bottom of the stairs. So you can either go down to the front of the stage or you can stay midway. So they've got many places to put wheelchairs or scooters, and you just pull in and park. There's a spot for a member of your family to sit right next to you, and it's amazing. It was so much easier.
I'm glad to hear it's a lot easier. We have stayed in concierge, and so we have gotten to that that secret access, not so secret, but secret access, where you get to go in early, and it's the same exactly as you described, the same doors. You just take the elevator down to deck 2. There's no secret passageway. You're literally just going through a hall. They open a door, you're in a hallway, and then you pop out. You're right at the foot of the stage. And or not the foot of the stage. You're actually midway, between sort of on the bottom floor, but midway between the front and the back.
And
Yeah.
they started bringing us in about, I want to say, maybe half hour ahead. And then the concierge people would get water and popcorn.
That's right. That's true. The concierge people get water and popcorn.
But they also, if you ask them very nicely, they would give you water.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
get
nice.
water. Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. That's always nice to hear.
But that worked out so much better. It really did. And then once we were seated, then the race of the guests would come in. And then the concierge, I think, probably just left with everybody. But I would go right back out that same entrance onto deck 2 and then take an elevator to the deck I needed. It was great. And talking about the shows, they offered the show 3 times. There was a matinee for each of the shows.
I love when they do that. I find it's a wonderful option. A lot of folks who have small kids are not able to keep, even if they're, they have early dining, then they have the late show. The kids are like falling asleep in the show or don't make it to the show. And I think helps spread out the crowds across the shows so that neither of the evening shows is quite as oversubscribed as it can sometimes be. So nobody's going to get probably turned away. A lot of people will prioritize going to the matinee performance, so usually at like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. And then one thing I noticed about your notes, Judy, you are a woman after my own heart because you actually went to see a couple of the shows twice.
Yes, I did.
Tell our audience, which shows did you see? I mean, I know you saw all 3 shows: Seize the Adventure, Moana, and Beauty and the Beast. But which ones did you go see twice, or did you see all of them twice?
I saw Seize the Adventure twice, and I saw Moana twice. I saw Beauty and the Beast once, just because it was the night we had to pack up to go. It was our last night, and I had already seen it on the Dream. So, but when I saw Moana the first time, I thought, when was it Tafiti changed to wait a minute. Tafiti.
Yeah.
I had from a Taka to Tafiti. I had to see that again. How did they do that?
Right. It's so good.
And the other thing that was amazing on Moana, I fully expected a Dwayne Johnson Maui, and it was the skinny little guy that came out.
I know. I gotta warn people better, I feel like, because I feel like you have a vision in your mind about what Maui is going to look like. And oftentimes that is not what Maui is going to look like. I mean, you might get a big muscular Maui at some point, but I haven't seen one yet.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
He was really so good.
Yeah.
And then we could also see the actors, the gal that played, the actress that played Moana's grandmother also played Mrs. Potts.
Yes. So the actress who does those roles is often the Broadway visiting performer.
Yeah. I don't know whether she was, because there was no little time, because when we were on the fantasy, we did go to a talk by the actor, but we didn't see that on the schedule.
Yeah, I haven't seen it consistently I'm not sure I've seen it on the Treasure at all. And I don't know why that is. Maybe there's just too many other activities and they don't really have room for it in the schedule. But I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure the one we saw they had mentioned was the Broadway visiting performer. But yeah, fantastic.
And then Maui's dad was Belle's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Same actor.
Yeah. Or Moana's dad.
Maui's dad. Yeah, Moana's dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love
but it was so good. So the show, I love theater. I just love the theater. So I would have gone, if they had it 4 times, I would have gone 4 times.
I love it. Listen, Judy, you and I are kindred spirits. I love Moana. I love Beauty and the Beast. I love Seas the Adventure. I think it's
Oh, I
actually
did thought it was a great show.
it's a
Yeah.
great show. I think it's the best of the sort of jukebox,
Mhm. Mhm.
musicals that they've created. Although, as we're recording this, The Adventure has already set sail on a couple of voyages, and I've heard that Remember is the best of them. Yeah, so we'll see. TBD. It's been, it'll be probably quite a while before I get on that ship. But yeah, I mean, there's just those performers, the production quality, everything is just
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's amazing that they can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask how you liked Coco because this was, of course, your first time in the Coco themed restaurant. There's a show both night one and night two in Coco. I'm curious what you thought of, food quality and the show as well.
We loved Coco. I guess the first night I kept waiting for them to sing Remember Me, and they didn't. And I was very disappointed. And they said, don't worry, you'll see, you'll hear it. But no, we love the food. We love the ambiance of Coco. Our first night in Coco, they had prime rib. So we had that. And I don't remember. I don't remember what we had the other. I have to look. But we were going to go to Marvel was our last night. And we told our wait staff, we're not coming because we don't like anything on the menu. And she said, well, you could order anything off of any of the other restaurant menus. And so we looked and we saw that Coco was doing prime rib again. And I said, well, could I have the prime rib? And she said, absolutely. So you can get the meal off of other restaurants that what they're serving that night.
Yes. Yes. As long as it's something that's on the menu that night. It can add a little bit of time to your serving, just a warning out there if you order something off of a different menu, because it just means your serving staff has to go a little bit out of their way, a little bit further to get it. Exactly. But it shouldn't be really a problem. The only time that I have ever found servers to say no is when they're doing like those very early sailings, like a maiden voyage and maybe the first couple of sailings, because the operations are just chaos at that point, and they're really just trying to figure things out.
And she also said, because when we were in 1923, we had lobster that one night. She said, you can't do the lobster. I said, that's okay.
Yeah, probably. And that's probably just a matter of how many lobster they have on board, right? Like, because if every passenger has lobster 3 times, they're going to run out of lobsters. And so, yeah. So they want to make sure they have enough for everyone. Well, Judy,
I just want to touch a couple of things here on scooters. People talked about the elevators. I've heard a lot of people talking, elevators are small. I did not find that to be a problem.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah.
We had no wait for them. There was plenty of room. In fact, I was coming back from Castaway. There was a family with a wagon, and we had the wagon and my scooter and their family in the elevator with no problem. So even though there's only 2 big banks, we never really had to wait long for an elevator. It worked out really well.
Well, and I do think that having just the 2 elevator banks, people don't realize there's still more elevators than on the original ships. There's even though there's only 2 banks, there are more number of elevators, and the elevators are a little bit bigger, as you mentioned, than on the older ships as well.
And every time you'd get on, you'd hear going up, deck 11, Mickey or Minnie. Talk to you all the time.
That's right. One of them's in the forward and one of them is in the aft.
Yes,
I want to say, but I don't remember which one.
I don't either.
Yeah, is in which spot. I love that.
I noticed that when we went to Jamaica and got off, the gangplank was very steep. And when I had to go over the hump from the ship to the gangplank, I had to get off because it wouldn't go. We kind of had to lift the scooter over the other gangplanks, like getting off at Castaway, no problem at all.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just the way the port is built, or if it has to do with the tide levels.
It could have been. It could have been any of that. Yeah.
Now I'm curious Grand Cayman is a tender port. Now, are you able to transfer normal? Obviously, you didn't. This cruise you weren't able to go to Grand Cayman because there was canceled.
We didn't go to Grand Cayman because it was too windy, and they said that the port harbor master would not let the little tender ships come out.
Gotcha. Now, have you been able to transfer with your scooter at
No, you
other
can't.
tender ports? You can't do it.
No,
Yeah, I wasn't
no,
sure.
can't do
Yeah.
it. You've got
Yeah.
to be able to go down and
Yeah, that
um,
makes sense. So it's not really the one thing about tender ports is not really an option for someone who has any kind of significant mobility issues. You might be able to do it if you're somebody who uses a cane or a walker for assistance, but you're not going to be able to do it with a wheelchair or a full scooter.
And the other thing I noticed is that as far as excursions, they're few and far between for people with mobility issues because even if you can get the scooter on the shore, there's very few accessible excursions, buses.
That's really the issue. A lot
So
of
that's
the
a problem.
Yeah, a lot of the time and this is in the Caribbean in particular, there are not as many accessible vehicles, right? Like they just don't have the vans like what we have here in the mainland US. They don't have the accessible vans to take folks. And so they're putting people on these open air sort of bus looking things, right? Where everyone has to go up steps and down steps, even if it might only be a few. But they're not at all, they're not at all accessible. And so that's definitely something to watch out for. Now, I will always tell people, like, a lot of the time you can, if you've got a scooter or a wheelchair, you might be able to get to a nearby shop, a nearby beach, something like literally walking distance where you don't have to take transportation. But there's so much to do on the ship that you can also just enjoy it as another sea day. Unfortunately, the Americans with Disabilities Act does not apply outside of the United States. So
when we went to Tortola, we rented they called it a taxi, but it was a driver. And we were able to just get into it. I was able to leave the scooter at the port. The woman guaranteed that it would be safe. And we rented a driver and he drove us all over Tortola for 2.5 hours so that we really got to see the island. So that worked out really well. And it was not real expensive. And they made sure they had a vehicle like a van that I could get into. That worked out real well. Cozumel and Jamaica, we got off, we wandered around the port and, saw what was going on and then got back on board. Because like you said, there's so much to do on board ship. It's almost like that's the destination.
Exactly. And I do think, when you think about while the Caribbean is lovely, if it's going to be too difficult to get around, you might as well enjoy the ship that is way more easy to get around, way more accessible to enjoy the ship than to enjoy or to try to enjoy a port and perhaps get disappointed because there aren't things like ramps. Some streets are cobblestone and broken curbs and things like that. So it's kind of what you deal with in the Caribbean in particular.
I know we talked about dining, but when we went to Marceline Market, the cast members, the crew members, the minute I would get to the buffet area, they would be there. What can I get you? They would carry my plate. They would get my drink. I mean, they couldn't have been better as far as taking care of, and at first I said, no, I can do this. And I thought, wait, why not? Let them help me.
Let them help you. Yeah. I always tell people if you've got like a bunch of kids in tow too, and the cast members offer to help you, let them help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're usually very happy to do it. And they get a little bit more, interaction with you. And don't forget, find out their names and their place of origin or their hometown, their home country. That way you can put in a little cast compliment for them at the end of the cruise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And make sure that you get an accessible stateroom. Our room on the Treasure was enormous. We had a veranda. The door, you just press the button and the door would open automatically. I could drive the scooter in. We could hold a dance. That room was so big.
I cannot emphasize this enough. I think this is a really important message. Those doors, the stateroom doors, really heavy. Not possible if you are using a scooter or a wheelchair. Even if you're strong,
you can't open it by yourself.
Yeah, you cannot open it by yourself. So the only way to be able to do it by yourself is if you have an accessible room where you are able to scan your key card, your magic band, press the button, and then it will open. And that's from the inside, there's just the button, but from the outside, you scan first and then press the button. But like really, really important. And then of course you get these huge bathroom, no, it's all flat. So you don't have to worry about stepping into a tub or stepping into a shower. The shower is literally right
And
there.
the and the amazing part about it, there's a metal strip around the shower. And in a hotel, if you get a walk-in shower, there's usually water running all over the floor, and it's a mess. That water never ever left the shower.
Oh, that's amazing.
Ever. It's you'd pull the curtain and they brought a stool, but there was also a stool right in the shower, so I didn't even need the extra shower stool. And that water never left the shower area. You walk out and the floor was dry.
It's magic. It's Disney magic, Judy.
It is. And be sure to ask if you need a shower stool. Make sure you ask for one. Anything that you need for your cruise, and let them know ahead of time on when you make the reservation what you need. It will be waiting in your room.
Yes, I see all the time people asking questions in cruise groups, and I try to tell them, call special services. They will make sure to have it. Like, you have a CPAP you need distilled water for, they will have the distilled water ready on the ship. It'll be there. You need, some kind of special equipment that, in order to use certain things, they will have it on board for you. It's just one of those things where they are very, very accommodating for all those kinds of things. You just have to let them know so they have some lead time.
And at Port Canaveral, the scooter I used, Special Needs at Sea, I think it was called, something like that. The scooter is right at the terminal. So when you get out of your car, the porter will go get that scooter for you and bring it to your car.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And then when we left, I drove the scooter. We were we were in the parking garage. I drove the scooter into the parking garage. The porter went with us, and then he took it back to the terminal.
Oh, that's great.
Now, Port Everglades, the scooter's on board the ship. And I had to find it. And I had even asked, I knew that, and I had asked for a wheelchair. And the port people at Everglades are not helpful. The Disney people are amazing. So when we finally got to Disney, to the Disney cast member, he said, "Stay right here. I'm getting you a wheelchair." And he came down with one and then took me right through security, right through check-in, right into the terminal.
These are great tips, Judy. I have not, you have to know where to go. And I'll be honest, I have not experienced this myself. And this is super helpful information for folks to know out there. And if you don't know, just ask, and hopefully you'll find someone who does know. Sometimes you get the porters even the porters work for the port, not for the cruise line. But oftentimes they are, they're there every day. And so they know what the routine is, and they can be also very, very helpful, especially if they are hoping to get a tip out of you.
Which of course they did.
Which of course they did. Exactly. Well, Judy, before I move us over to my favorite part of the show,
okay.
Rapid Fire, I got to ask, is there anything else you wanted folks to know about this amazing cruise on the Disney Treasure?
It's an amazing ship. It's just, I loved the Fantasy. The Dream, I don't know. I know the Dream set up like the Fantasy. I wasn't as excited on the Dream for some reason. The Treasure, I love the Treasure. It is a beautiful, beautiful ship. Once I figured out how to find my way around the ship.
Fair. It's,
it's very different.
It's very different. And once you've gotten used to any of the classic ships, Magic, Wonder, Dream, Fantasy, it's a little bit jarring going over to the Wish class because the layout is really different. Whereas the first 4 ships, the layout is not identical, but close to identical. Of course, the Fantasy and the Dream are bigger than the Magic and the Wonder, but really the layout, everything is in where you expect it to be if you've been on the Magic class first.
But we were able to figure it out pretty quick. So we were good.
You had 7 nights. So by night 2 or night 3,
exactly.
you're a pro. You know exactly where you're going.
Right.
All right, Judy. Well, we've reached that point in the show where I've got to subject you to some arbitrary rules, some arbitrary questions, and at least a dash of judgment for the round. Brian likes to introduce as Rapid Fire. I'm going to ask you some Disney favorites and then some cruise line favorites. And you can, of course, only answer with things that you like for cruise line with only ships that you have been on or restaurants you have been to. So nothing that is the TBD on the Destiny and all the other, and the magic and the wonder, of course. All right. Well, we're going to start with who is your favorite Disney character? And Disney means everything and anything Disney owns. I guess you said it wasn't Judy Hopps, but I'm curious, who's your favorite Disney character?
I have two, Mickey and Figment.
Oh, I mean, who does? I mean, you got Mickey's. You know,
He's classic.
You gotta love Mickey, and then I love Figment also. I mean, if other people like don't like Imagination, I love it.
I've seen the original Journey to Imagination.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm spoiled.
You're spoiled. Yeah. You've been a Figment fan since the beginning.
From the beginning, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Judy, what's your favorite Disney movie?
I guess I'm going to say the live action Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
I do like that.
It's really good. And the Beauty and the Beast on board the ships is a kind of a mishmash from the live action movie and the Broadway show kind of melded together. So yeah, love that. All right. Speaking of shows, what's your favorite Disney song?
I've heard your questions and I even had some answers in mind and I forgot about the song one. Disney song. All right, this is going to sound crazy, but this is near to my heart. You know the song that they would sing at the end of the Mickey Mouse Club, MIC, see you real soon?
Yeah. MOUSE.
That has special meaning to me because when I retired from teaching, my class did a little play for the whole school and they sang that song to me.
Oh my goodness. Why? Because we like you.
Oh. They sang that to me and I was bawling at that point.
Oh, Judy,
because they knew my love of Disney. Yeah.
That is not a weird answer at all. That is a wonderful answer.
That would have to be, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to head back over to shows.
Okay.
You got to tell me which one is your favorite show now that you've seen. You've seen two of the greatest. So I got to ask, what's your favorite?
Well, I have to say, as much as I thought Moana was amazing, I thought Beauty and the Beast was phenomenal. With the scenery and the change that Moana was. I loved Moana, but I saw Beauty and the Beast and I thought, no, this really and truly is an unreal show. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I mean, I change my mind every day about which show I like the best. Now that since Moana and Hercules came out, before that, it was very easy. I could say Beauty and the Beast without hesitation. Now I have my brain different days tells me different things. It's my multiple personality disorder talking. But, no, just kidding. I don't have multiple personality disorder. But no, I think I always come back to Beauty and the Beast as being, if not the top, one of the top, because it really is such a well-produced show. The technology, the set design, the integration, it's just, it's incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen Aladdin and I've seen Frozen and had to be Beauty and the Beast.
I love it. All right, Judy, I got to ask, what's your favorite onboard activity? So favorite thing to do?
I think trivia.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it, but I love it.
You can't win if you don't play. That's what they say about the lotto, right?
We have more fun. Yeah, we love to do trivia.
It's fun. It's fun. You don't have to win to have fun. Sometimes it's actually more fun to see how badly you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, let's talk rotational dining. I would love to know which one is your favorite restaurant. And it could be because of the food. It could be because of the show. It could be because of the atmosphere. It doesn't really matter. Whichever restaurant sort of speaks to you, Judy.
We liked Coco on this trip. My least favorite was the Marvel. And that was our last night, and it was fun that night because of the game we were playing. But I'm not a real Marvel fan. But I love the vibe. Of everything that Coco is, and the food was really good.
All right. Speaking of food, I've got to ask you for a favorite sweet item and a favorite savory item. I always start with the sweets because in my opinion, the savories are the best. So I save the best for last.
I agree with you.
I love it. My dessert would be a soft pretzel, a Mickey pretzel with the little cup of plastic cheese. I love that. All right, so let's start sweet. What was a favorite sweet
I
item?
would say their creme brulee.
Oh, nice.
They have that. They had one with raspberry on it, and that was really good.
Nice. All right, and favorite savory.
Well, on this cruise, I have to say, I think the prime rib that we had was really good. Yeah, that was real good.
All right. We've got to ask pretty much the most important question. You've been now on the fantasy and the dream and the treasure in that exact order. I've got to know between the three, which one is your favorite? I have a feeling I know.
It's the one I'm on currently. No, no, it would be the treasure.
Yeah,
it really would be the treasure.
The fantasy is a wonderful ship.
It's a great ship, and it was my first ship, and I have a love for that. But
but the treasure just tops
the treasure. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah. All right. Well, Judy, the last question of rapid fire, of course, is what is your bucket list cruise? Meaning if you could go anywhere in the world on a Disney Cruise Line ship, and it doesn't have to be someplace that Disney Cruise Line currently sails, it can be anywhere in the world that's accessible by water, where would you go?
I would love to go to some further south. I'd love to go through the Panama Canal and go over to the West Coast and maybe go up to Alaska. And then repeat it and go back, because I don't like to fly. So
I gotcha. Well, that's why you drive down to Florida, you
exactly.
crazy person. So
I know
you would be like 2 weeks all the way, like on the Panama Canal sailing. Then you'd have to go up the West Coast. So that's going to be another like 4 days. Then you're going to go to Alaska at least for a week, right? So we're already at like 3.5 weeks, and then you're going to do another.
But we'd have to stop in California so they could go to Disneyland for a few days too.
You know, so we're talking we're talking a
month or so,
a month or two. Yeah, probably 6 weeks or so.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
That would be great.
Well, thank you for playing. Passed with flying colors, A+. Judy, it's been so lovely having you on the show. I'm glad we were able to get this scheduled. Thank you so much for joining me. We had such a great girl talk. Maybe we should just kick Brian off the podcast.
He could stay on his trip, so.
He can stay on his. Just kidding, everyone.
No.
Brian is everyone's favorite producer, everyone's favorite lead host of our show, and of course, my partner in crime and all things life. And I am excited because he's coming home tonight, and I haven't seen him in a week. So,
it's hard.
But anyway, thank you so much, Judy. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. It was great talking to you. I was so excited to do this. And maybe one of these days we'll meet on a cruise too.
I would love that.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes, so please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.